This game 3 is so tense. Game number 1 saw DeMusliM just take some nice control. Game number 2 saw a build order loss and souL just doing some awesome harassment. Game number 3 on Overgrowth is a 2-player spawn map and neither player is proxying yet. That's a good sign. Spawning to the top right, we have got the pink Terran player. Representing Max Flow, we have souL. And his opponent down in the bottom left, representing Evil Geniuses, the purple Terran, DeMusliM. DeMusliM getting a bit of a build order loss there in game number 2. Went CC first, and there was just nothing that he could do up against that many Reapers. Pretty much impossible to stop it when you've gone CC first. When a Reaper's hitting when you've only got one Marine, you have to get monumentally amazing, brilliant, phenomenally fantastic control with your SCVs and that one Marine if you're going to hold. And DeMusliM just lost so many workers. It was insane. This game, not going to be opening the same way. Getting that barracks down first. So, he went for the barracks into the refinery. So again, going to be hoping his Reaper opening can be as successful as it was in game 2. The winner of this map goes on to face Stefano or Demaga in the qualifying game. So they are just one map away now from getting into the series that will decide if they can make it into WCS EU Challenger Season 2. So tough, so rough, and I just don't know how it's going to go. Game 1, DeMusliM did look like he was dominating. Game number 2 though, he got a build order loss, so I'm glad to see he's doing something safe, because getting something safe is just essential to making it work. He can't take another big risk like a CC first. So he takes out this SCV that was scouting now, preventing any further information. But he's also got some good scouts. He knows that it was going to be Reapers again, because he saw the timing of the barracks and the gas, very important to note. And because the barracks was out first for DeMusliM, he should have plenty of time to produce up these two Marines. This isn't the greatest map either for Reapers, because obviously there's only a limited amount of space they can actually jump up. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't think they can jump up there. But I don't want to guarantee it. I haven't cast enough games on this map yet. So the first Reaper just taking the watchtowers, making sure nothing weird's going on. But what this does is it buys DeMusliM adequate time to add in the reactor and get double Marine production started. So up now comes the Reaper. Going to be checking around, going to take a little peek. Is there a natural CC? Moves up the ramp and starts taking a little bit of damage, but gets the shots off very early to those Marines. Gonna have to back out though. 2 Marines beat a Reaper as long as they're microed correctly. And still we're seeing just such a tense situation. DeMusliM has the natural base coming up at around the same time as his opponent, but his is in the main, not at the natural base where souL is building his. So that means souL has a slight timing advantage because he doesn't have to float it down. Not massive though. Starport, or Stargate rather. Starport, definitely Starport. On its way out now for DeMusliM. Meanwhile, on souL's side, he's now adding that in. Gonna be getting some more Hellions, so he's not likely to be going for those Banshee. Actually, no, he is. Adds in the tech lab, never mind. I was gonna say he could be going for some drop style play, which is relatively common. But with the tech lab coming through there, it's much more likely to be Banshee, and just Hellions in the front, Banshee into the main base for the switch. Not necessarily has to be, but most probable. Decent number of units out for DeMusliM now. He's finished morphing that orbital command and needs to float it down. The advantage of building in the main is obviously it's safer. Building in the natural means you've got it there quicker. But somewhat of the difference is made up for by the fact that if you morph the orbital in the main, you still bank up the energy coming down, so it's literally just a few seconds it takes to float there. And DeMusliM, after game number 2, his playing safe was always going to be what he was looking for. He should feel confident in game number 1 that he just played better. But in game 2 he had a build order loss. So game number 3, if he's going to get knocked out of this qualifier, if it were me, I'd want to make sure that it was because I played a good game and my opponent just played better, as opposed to just losing something. So, quick little push across the map now from DeMusliM. He encounters one lone Reaper. But that Reaper sees the medevac, sees the Hellions, and knows what's coming. So the complete wall-off coming out. Unfortunately, this bunker has got one lone Marine in it. The SCV's constructing those supply depots. Gonna get taken out. The drop coming into the main base. Scouts the starport with the tech lab on it. That's an important little bit of information. And continues pushing through. But with the 4 Hellions, soon to be 6 Hellions there, the Marines have to be very, very careful. Down one supply depot goes. Down another SCV dies. DeMusliM continuing on with his pressure. souL though mounting a fairly good defense. Unfortunately for him, the Hellions at the front are causing more of a problem. Aggressively moving forward now. A couple of those SCVs get picked off and are left at the natural base. The Banshee's here. Cloak is about to be kicking in. And DeMusliM, does he have a scan? I don't know, but he is losing most of his forces now. Having to boost away with this medevac up in towards the main base. Going to try and get a bit of damage done there. But doesn't actually drop the units, so not going to be able to do anything now with the Hellions closing up the distance. Overall, 12 workers killed by DeMusliM. Very worthwhile. He's up now 35 to 24, economic lead. He's throwing down some missile turrets. One of the natural, one of the main, and one by the production facilities. There is no way this Banshee's doing much, and if it's not careful, it's going to fly straight over a mine. And that would be very bad times for it. It'd be dead very quickly. So Cloak's up. Going to prevent that mine from doing anything, but with the missile turrets here and the Viking, it's not going to get any damage done. So DeMusliM countering the Banshee thanks to that push in, scouting it, and he's completely fine to see really everything that's happening now. And DeMusliM has got a nice little advantage. The Viking and the missile turret nearly getting the Banshee, but it backs out and stays alive. souL now adding in his Banshee, adding in his Raven to complement that Banshee. Probably going to be going for a decent, probably a Viking off the back of this. Going for a little switch around on these various production facilities. Wants some more Hellions, as if he didn't have enough already. Sitting there at a fair few. Blue Flame, I have no doubt, is going to be appearing. It should definitely be appearing with this many Hellions. And right on cue, there we have it. DeMusliM still getting an upgrade lead. An economical lead with that 3rd CC on its way. No sign of it yet from souL. He's just currently sitting there only on the 2 command centers. And this means DeMusliM is going to get a lot more SCV production and should be alright economically. Also continuing on with the harassment. Still only 12 workers killed. But he gets a great look at just how many Hellions are here. And there's a lot. There is 11 Hellions. More than you'd usually see. You can suspect Blue Flame is going to be coming. But regardless, DeMusliM going to be trying to sneak up into the main base, which for the moment is undefended. All of the Hellions are staying down, trying to protect the 3rd should it be coming through. But DeMusliM not yet going, he's just dancing about a bit. There's no escape for this medevac with the 2 Vikings coming over. But a couple of SCVs may go down. More importantly though, you're delaying a lot of mining time, just hurting the economy. Has he seen the switch? No. So this is the only downside, is you ideally want to see the Blue Flames coming. Doesn't know about it, but you can probably deduce that since there's this many Hellions, there's going to be Blue Flame. At home, DeMusliM repositioning up this mine so he can protect his 3rd base. He's got a decent number of Hellions of his own, but also adding in a lot of Marauders. They're going to have Concussive Shell. Marauders with Concussive Shell shut down Hellions well, even with Blue Flame. Because even with Blue Flame, they don't deal much damage to Marauders. Their mobility is destroyed thanks to the Concussive Shell slowing them. And so DeMuslim's got a nice composition against this. And he's still up by what is 14 workers, having killed 18 overall this game. Very close stuff, very tense still. Remember, the winner of this goes on to face either Stefano or DeMusliM in the qualifying series, or you get eliminated and have to do it all again tomorrow. Missile turret trying to come down here. No Raven in DeMuslim's air composition yet. So no mobile detection other than a scan. But buying enough time to get that missile turret up keeps him safe. However, souL preparing for the big play. This is what his money's on, is all of these Blue Flame Hellions wrecking the SCV line. Unfortunately, the Marauder saw them coming. They attacked it, so the Blue Flame has now been seen. And the retreat in full effect from souL. He's not really caught a break this game yet. Whereas DeMusliM, he's got a sizable army. He's moving forward. A decent number of marauders up at 10. However, there's the tanks. And tanks are good against pretty much everything on the ground. They just, once they're sieged up, you can have a bad time trying to push into them if you don't have a large force or some great drops or things like that. So now, preparing just a couple of those Hellions to sneak by. The Widow Mine, not going to get the hit off. And so a bit of damage going to be done to the SCV count. But simultaneously, DeMusliM pushing in towards the third. The tanks force him back though. Can't keep going for that. Deals with the Hellions poking in. 6 workers killed compared to 18. And DeMusliM adds in the 4th CC. So, meching it up, as we saw in game number 1. A high tank count. But DeMusliM already showing that he's favouring that very multitasking heavy style. Coming out as he did in game number 1. The difference is though, in game number 1, DeMusliM had a bad start. He went for those Cloak Banshee and had them shut down so they did nothing. This game, he's shut down souL and has done a lot of damage early game. So he's actually already at a bit of an advantage, as we can see in the supplies. souL though, he's done a great job. He's leveled out the worker count to take a 1 worker lead. But he's also getting some good damage too. Widow Mine hit goes out, but 3 Hellions up in the main base of DeMusliM. A lot of supply depots were down there. Not really doing too much to help. So that means that these Hellions are going to rack up a couple more worker kills. DeMusliM still haven't got double though, since he's dropped into the 3rd base of souL. Pushing into the natural as well. A couple of tanks getting taken out here. And that leaves very little in the way of defense. More tanks going to have to reposition, but the drop at the 3rd still there. A high Viking count preventing the medevacs from being able to do very much. And DeMusliM just pressuring forward. He knows that he's got a lot of momentum here. He's cleaned up the Hellions at his main base. His drop at the 3rd is now going into the drop at the natural base. And still, we see DeMusliM going forward. souL is in a very bad position here. About to lose his natural. Down it falls. He's got 40 army supply to 113. DeMusliM looks like he's going to be able to do this now. Continuing, pushing through, having done critical amounts of economic damage to souL. And a cute little bit of pick up and drop micro, trying to get every last inch out because your spot in the qualifier remains. You don't want to GG out early, but DeMusliM is in an overwhelmingly good position. Nearly triple the supply of his opponent and just rallying across the map. The 3rd base is still up. It's a last kind of outpost of hope. But souL, I'm sorry mate, it's going to go down, and DeMusliM is now pretty much guaranteed to advance through up against the winner of Stefano or Demaga. souL not yet out of this game, trying anything in his power to hold, but he's at 40 supply to 160. He hasn't done any catastrophic damage, nor is he getting down a magnificent drop. DeMusliM is just in such a good position. It's probably the best position you could ever hope for. It's basically his game now, and souL, he's just trying to mount a defense of some form, because his only real option is to leave the game, in which case he's knocked out this qualifier. You don't want to be knocked out of the qualifier at this late stage, so you may as well fight until there is no hope at all. And although you got siege tanks in a fairly good position, although you've got some Vikings to pick off medevacs, there's a chance. A slim one, a minuscule one, but there is a chance. Down go the Vikings though, they're duking it out. A couple of Marines just helping swing that in his favour. souL now doesn't have any air units at all, and that's a problem because he needed those Vikings to give him advanced notice and also give his tanks vision in order to get every single shot off they possibly could. So, waiting for the doom drop now. All the medevacs loading up. One doesn't want to carry the weight of those poor units. They're sitting there like, what about me? But in they go. A couple of missile turrets are there, but just look at how many units are here. One of those medevacs gets taken down. A second one will fall, but most of the units deposited. And DeMusliM now crushing through the main base. Takes out that orbital command, taking out all of the production facilities. Everything is now going down. DeMusliM is in such a strong position. Going to go for the double marauder drop. There's the GG. And DeMusliM takes this series 2-1 and advances forward into the qualifying game of this second qualifier.